I don't know what's wrong with us.
Yeah, first time on video, we're going to be dorks.
Yo, absolutely. And we lost the headset. Hey. Hey, Cardinals Nation. I'm Brad.
And I'm Aaron.
And you're listening to Musial Suspects. And the guy down there at the end that just dropped his headset off and who, just kind of goofed on our very first video podcast, that's Jesse. That is the artist who created the intro and outro music that we use. So we are glad to have you here, Jesse.
I mean, the first thing I always tell you with an interview is don't do something cringy that you'll regret later.
No.
Missed that mark.
Was it too late?
Well, we got it out of the way early.
All right, so a couple things here. We're going to try to shoot for a 45-minute podcast, and we'll see how good we did at the end of this. Because we're using my iPhone and an adapter to record audio into the iPhone, I don't have our script in front of me, and I'm usually the one that keeps us moving along. So Aaron is going to be completely responsible for moving right along.
Yep, I got this.
Or you need to put your phone over here where I can see it too.
No, I totally got this.
Yeah, let's put the long-winded guy in charge of the script.
Okay, so I do want to first start off with thanking you, Jesse, for letting us use your music. That's pretty cool of you. And I got to say, man, it is some of the most favorite music I've heard that is not from somebody who makes millions of dollars.
It is some of my most favorite as well.
So, I don't know if you heard our last podcast or not, but there was a true, genuine reaction when you sent this music to Aaron and we tried it. You remember that?
Yeah, we posted it because I think you messaged me while we were doing the podcast because we were talking about trying to get you on there, and then you sent me the new music that we just played, and I was like, oh, dude, we could play this right now, and we were both like, oh yeah,
yeah.
This is the mixed version.
I remember,
nice.
I remember an audible, oh, yes. So, anyway, we find it to be great. So, anyway.
I remember when I first brought it up to him, he was just like, it surprisingly fits really well with your podcast.
It really does.
It's it's got a nice, nice summer feel, and baseball's in the summer. It totally works.
Now, I know, Aaron, you had a schedule coming up, and you wanted to talk about the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
But it is off season for hockey, and I am a hockey fan, and maybe
I've been hearing a lot about this, and I'm not a huge hockey fan, but seems like they're doing some good stuff right now.
Well, yeah, the Blues are making moves in the off season. I just saw that they signed Maroon to a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about him, but this Ryan O'Reilly guy that they signed,
yeah,
yes, sir.
And
he's going to be
great
good.
though is they traded for him without having to give up their huge prospects. Plus, they were able to move some extra salary away.
Well, and the thing is too, they traded Berglund to get him, and while I like Berglund, he is so incredibly frustrating because he's huge, but he plays like he's 5'7". He's tries to be finesseful.
Someone over.
Yeah, just I need a Chris Pronger type play out of him. But anyway, that's kind of we're just going to touch on that. The other thing I wanted to touch on is World Cup 2018. So it is 6:24 p.m. on Wednesday. So England has already lost to Croatia.
Didn't France win earlier?
France, yeah. So the World Cup Championship will be this Sunday, and it's going to be France against Croatia, which apparently I was really rooting for England. I don't know why, but just when I started watching the game and they
haven't won anything in a really long time.
Yeah, I think it's 62. It's either 62 or 67.
Yeah.
Almost as long as it took the Cubs to break their.
Woo.
So anyway, if you haven't figured it out yet, we are not Cubs fans. We are Cubs enemies.
No, not at all.
But it's not like Yankees, Red Sox rivalry. It is.
That stuff's pretty intense.
Yeah, no.
I've been to one game at Yankee Stadium.
Nobody's going to get beat up over a Cubs jersey.
Yeah, whenever I went to a Yankees game, we were at Yankee Stadium, and there were people yelling at somebody else because they had a Baltimore cap on. It's just they're not even playing Baltimore.
No, yeah.
What? Calm down. You're not even in the stadium yet. You're outside.
Real
they
talk,
get
though.
Really aggressive, man.
Real talk, though. If you go to Yankee Stadium and you're a visitor, don't root for the other team. Just be a Yankees fan for that day.
Yeah, just wear Yankee stuff.
When the Yankees score, be like, "Yay, Yankees!" But whenever your team actually scores, keep it on the down. Especially if you have bleacher seats, because oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah, they'll throw you out on the field.
Consequently enough, that's one of my bucket list things is to go to every Major League Baseball stadium before I die.
That guy, Paul, that I've done a podcast for 11th Inning Stretch, he's been to I think he was just in Minnesota like a couple months ago, and I think that was like 18 for him.
Okay.
And I was
That's
like,
pretty good.
That's pretty awesome. I would love to do that,
Yeah.
but my bank account currently says no.
I think I'm at 4, and the way Terry and I kind of set it up is if we do it, that we're just going to do it as we visit the town. So if that home team happens to be in town, then we'll catch a game. So that's kind of the plan. So one of the other things that we're kind of really trying to learn now is we're actually going to try to talk to the camera because
We're doing our
that's
best.
you.
Yeah.
Even though it's just an iPhone on a stand.
Currently a fridge.
Currently a fridge. Oh, yeah.
We're staring at the
Yeah.
fridge and all
So
the people staring
The
out
other
on the
thing is, too,
fridge.
if you notice the lovely background, that's just my living room. I'm working on getting a set up and all this other stuff, but, money and time, and it's just going to take a while, but we're working on it, and we're going to get there. And one of these times, we're going to be like a high-quality, good-looking thing. And, Jesse,
gonna
we're
be
going to have
great.
you back once we get the set done,
Yeah.
and you're going to be looking at me like, I like this. You know what would be really cool? Because you mentioned a YouTuber that I really like. He's got his YouTube channel on a neon sign in the background.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And if we ever, because I don't know if I told you this or not, but Nathan said that he's going to be working on a logo for us.
Awesome.
So Nathan goes to church with us. He is a graphic designer, and hopefully we'll have a pretty cool one and not just the Bitmojis with some fancy text. It looks
our
it looks good for
Bitmojis
what it
look
is.
so good.
It looks good for what it is.
That Bitmoji looks better
Designed
than
by
I
amateurs.
do.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, you play any sports?
Growing up, played baseball up until about 5th or 6th grade. At that point, I was just getting a little too competitive. Just wanted to, not be traveling on Sundays, going to church and stuff. So
Holy
I
cow.
transitioned into playing lacrosse when that came to O'Fallon because nobody was playing that, so it was easy to get on a
Yeah.
team.
I really like lacrosse.
Yeah, it's kind of like, a lot of people think it's the other way around, but a lot of the rules for modern soccer and hockey actually kind of split from lacrosse.
Right.
As it just became like more popular as more people came across the sea and were like, "What's this crazy game where they're like beating each other to death?
Yeah.
We called this war, and
Yeah.
they're just calling it a game."
Yeah, I feel
But-
like they've toned it down a little bit from what it originally was.
Yeah, they added pads to guys lacrosse, and girls are like, "We'll just suck it up."
And wear goggles. We're not wearing
Yeah.
face masks. Yeah. So O'Fallon does have a pretty good lacrosse team, though. One of the best in the area, if I'm not mistaken. But it's kind of one of the only ones in the area. But it's always still fun to go watch O'Fallon play. So
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting because in high school I was going to a private school here, so we couldn't play on the O'Fallon team because laws changed.
yeah.
Couldn't be at homeschool or private school and play in public school. Anyways,
Oh.
played for a school, Governor's French Academy, and there was a kid there who was adopted from Russia. His kids grew up in America and everything, but still kind of considered a Russian national, and now he's playing on the Russian National Lacrosse League. He was just like, I'm gonna, I don't care what team I'll play for, I'll do the best, I'll grind it out. And that kid is rocking right now.
that's
intense.
pretty cool because I've never played with anybody that like has become famous.
Yeah, he's just kind of doing his thing.
Or not famous, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys
Made
were
it.
joking with me beforehand because right before we started talking about this, I got off on this weird disc golf tangent. But one of the best players, like, legitimately in the world, is actually from St. Louis, and there are. He just got back onto the national pro tour for disc golf, and I think in the last event he placed third, which is really good, and especially at the course he was at. But there are actually some leagues that take place in St. Louis where if I wanted to, I could literally go to that league and play with him. It's just a weird thing. I mean, disc golf's a growing sport, so not too many people know like the bigger names. But when you have a local pro that's like 30 minutes away, that is placing in the top 3 in really big national events, it's pretty cool. He's made like $300,000 playing disc golf. So I wish I had that
you can
problem.
make that kind of money playing disc golf?
Yeah, I
What
mean,
am I doing in music?
it's like,
Yeah, what's wrong with me?
I mean, he's been doing it for a while. It's not like he's made $300,000 last season, but different events, there's always a buy-in. It's like any type of tournament. If you play a softball tournament and you put money into your team, at the end of it, you guys get money if you win. And it's the same thing with disc golf. You put in however much it is. There was a tournament in St. Louis 2 weeks ago. I think the buy-in was like $120 for the pro division, and the winner took it's like $1,500, and I think he got second and got like $800. So that's a pretty good return if you're good at it.
No, that's good. Yeah,
And,
I'm not good at disc golf.
I mean,
don't actually.
I would never place. I'm not even gonna. I wouldn't even place in the amateurs.
I don't
but
even know if
he's
I'm
really
good. At it. I've never played disc golf, so maybe I'm doing the right thing because I got to find what I'm good at and be good at what I am. So not try to be a professional. Anyway,
But
so
lo and behold, this is a Cardinals podcast.
Yeah, we're
so,
about 10 minutes in.
Let's roll through this.
We hit soccer, baseball, lacrosse, hockey, softball,
now disc golf.
So
now we're
what's going on?
Now we're gonna get it back into
Let's talk
Cardinal
about
baseball.
Our infuriatingly mediocre Cardinals team.
It's been great. Before we get into that, we'll do some quick social media plugs. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is at Suspects Musial. You can follow me on Twitter at Aaron Arch City, and then
we should get some poster board
and just be like,
put them on.
Wham!
Just set them up there.
Just set it right up in the front. Doesn't cut off our faces, but just right up in the front. Be like, that's it. Just read it. Thanks.
You know what though? Too maybe one of these days I can figure out on my video editing software how to put it up on the screen. So.
It really shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be, but I haven't actually
we're
invested the
lazy.
time into it yet.
Actually,
it's like
if you guys started doing any sort of like streaming stuff, most of that's free. I was actually looking at doing it just to do like music streams like deadmau5 does, and you can set it up in about 10 minutes.
On what?
There's a couple different streams I can talk to you about later, but it's all free. It lets you like set it up there. If you guys do it live, you could start doing chats with them, stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be
yes. Jesse, I think you're going to be part of this, whether or not you want to or not, because you know things that we know not.
It's like, whoa, that's interesting.
Anything that we can get to kind of get. I mean, this is right now, it's just a hobby, but it'd be cool if it became more than a hobby. But right now, it's just a hobby. Anyway, I cut you off.
Let's get to the mediocre Cardinals team. So it's been 2 weeks since we've recorded, and the night that we recorded, it was Game 3 when they played the Indians. They ended up losing that game. They didn't complete the sweep, but in those 2 weeks, they've gone 5-7.
I'm not good with that.
Yep, they took 2 of 3 from Cleveland. And you're like, yay, this is great, and then they get swept by Atlanta, and you're like,
not even one.
This is great.
Not one? Just one?
No,
we only wanted one.
No, they got swept, and so 5-7. It just feels like this has been happening for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just middling along. They're not playing terrible. They're getting some good wins, but they're not sustaining success.
Right.
They'll win a couple and then lose 3. They'll win 3 and lose 2. They're just playing 500 ball right now.
Yeah.
They'll have a chance to go into the All-Star break above 500, but then their schedule gets kind of rough.
Well, if they play 500 ball into the All-Star break, they'll go in. And why would we believe that they're not going to do anything else? However, I do see them having an opportunity tonight against the White Sox.
Yep.
And what do we got? 3 against the Reds?
They're facing a lefty that's apparently pretty good that they've never seen before. They have 12 combined at bats against that guy.
But if he's good, they'll be all right. If he's just a no-name guy and it's his first night,
but it's a no-name guy for us.
Who's going for us?
Problem. I think Weaver, who pitched very well.
Yes, he
his
did.
Last time out, took a perfect game into the 6th. I think the 6th. Pretty great bounce back performance from him. He started off great this season. First couple starts, you're like, oh yeah, our staff is loaded. We've got Weaver killing it. Everyone else is killing it. And then it was just a bunch of starts in a row where you're like, should we send him down to Memphis?
Sad trombone
This
starts.
is not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, turned it around. It was against the Giants, who were kind of in a situation like ourselves, except maybe a little worse. So you could say that he did it against lesser talent, but hey, I don't care. If it's a confidence booster for him and he pitches again tonight really well, then I think he turns the corner. But something else that's happened for Cardinals.
Wait, are you going to talk about Wong?
Oh, I'm getting to that.
Okay. Well, I want to play a game whenever we get there, all right? So let me know, because I'm going to call it buying or selling.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
They should be buying, but they won't.
No. This isn't about the trade deadline.
No, I'm making it about that too, though.
That's kind of one of the unfortunate things about the mediocrity of the team is when
that
you get to the trade deadline, you don't really have a good move, and so you stand pat and you're stuck.
And I was on the Cardinal Nation 24/7 podcast, and that's what we were talking about. It's like if they win a lot of games and they start putting together a lot of wins, that gives them justification to go out and make a big move because they're still in it. And if they suck really bad, then you can justify selling and trying to do a rebuild. But they're just middling along, so you're like, I don't know what to do.
You can't do anything.
Because if they get good enough and they start turning it around, then awesome. But if they start sucking on later, then you're like, well, it's whatever.
Yeah.
So I wish they would just pick a side. If they're gonna suck. If they're gonna be good, be
Oh.
good. But they're just kind of middling along, and so I feel like they're gonna pick up a middle reliever, and hopefully that does something.
We get ourselves a middle reliever and a no-name bench bat.
Yeah, but I digress. We'll get to that. So the All-Star team has been announced, and wouldn't you know it, the Cardinals were not very well represented. Before Molina got put on the
I was
roster,
gonna say
the only
before Posey
person
got
on
hurt.
there, the only person on there that made it was Miles Michaelis, who was very well deserved. But he was not voted in by the players. He was voted by my Major League Baseball.
Right.
So he wasn't voted in by the players, which was already
last
stupid.
night we were talking about this, not you and I, but some of the other guys on the other softball team I play for. We were talking about this, and I don't like the All-Star game it's a nothing. It really is. It's a nothing. They tried to make it count. It doesn't matter. People didn't want that. And so all it is a popularity contest.
Yeah,
So you
it's
got
just
Bryce
for the fans.
Harper.
It's like it's for the fans. So if the fans want to see Bryce Harper, cool. But does he deserve to be counted as an all-star because of his
all-star?
performance? No. He's batting like 215.
They should call it the popularity game.
In that case, put in Colton Wong. His defense is better than Harper, and he's batting higher.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. The Cardinals were not represented well for the fan voting at all. And that brings up something that we've already talked about, is that there's no fire in this team. There's no fire in the fan base. So why would the fans go out and vote for their players?
Yeah.
Which they haven't.
It's hard to get excited about it.
The highest rated player was Yadier Molina, who was like 4th in All-Star voting for catchers.
Which is a
First
travesty, by the way.
First off, he should be 1st or 2nd. First should be JT Realmuto. If you see how good of a year he's having, why Wilson Contreras is starting, I don't know. Because he's not the best catcher in the National League. He's the 3rd or 4th best catcher in the National League.
Hashtag Cubs.
I don't even remember.
We had a hashtag Cubs favoritism.
Oh, yeah. It's just like...
It's because he's a Cub. You guys know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. The Cubs are national darlings.
Yeah, so...
The lovable not losers, even though
he's not the best catcher in the National League. And everyone and all Cubs fans who was like...
Not even close.
He's like maybe 3rd or 4th.
Maybe.
And because Yadier Molina's had statistically the 1st or 2nd in most categories.
With 24
offensively.
days gone.
Yeah, and he was not in the lineup. So
because of it, he wasn't a wuss. That was a real injury.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he's still playing baseball because I wouldn't be.
I'd be like,
take my check and be done.
Yeah, I'll just quit. That's
Announce
fine.
my retirement.
But
I'm done.
But no other Cardinal really got most votes at all. Like I think Jose Martinez got up to about 4th, and then I think that fizzled out. They didn't have a single outfielder in the top 15, which I guess makes sense. Fam's been hurt.
Let me ask you
Fowler's
a question.
been terrible, but Ozuna's better than at least a few guys on that list.
Let me ask you a question about Ozuna, all right?
Yeah.
So if he's got, you know how Under Armour has those Superman shirts and those Spider-Man? So if he's got that S on his shirt and he's wearing it underneath it, what do you think that S stands for? Because it ain't Superman.
No.
It's for singles.
Probably, yeah.
That's all that dude. That's his superpower. That's all Ozuna does this year is hit singles and not throw people out at home.
I saw something on Facebook. No, it was on Twitter. This guy brought up a pretty valid point. It was like, which would you rather take? A guy who has a 150 batting average, but every time he gets a hit, it's a home run, or a guy who's batting it was 360, but every at bat is a single. Like, which one would you pick? And a surprising number of people picked, I'd rather have the 360 batting average, when in reality it's the same OPS.
It is. It's the same OPS, but
it's timely OPS.
Whenever you're hitting 360, there's a greater chance you're going to get runs on singles that score other people when there's people on base in front of you. I can see that.
But it just brings up a good point. Like, if you're producing home runs, you're still producing runs, but you're barely getting on at base at all.
Well, and now DeJong's back in the lineup, so we'll see where this team's going to go. But
I find it funny that now DeYoung's back, that Fowler and Wong are hitting, but.
Okay, check this out. This is something you and I talked about the other night, and this goes back to the whole Ozuna thing. So I was frustrated with Ozuna because there was 2 runners, and it should have been McCutchen too. McCutchen should have scored in that game. That scored on lazy ground balls to the left fielder, and Ozuna, for whatever reason, is dragging his arm around this year. I don't know why. I'm not saying that he's not hurt, but if he is hurt, There's
Should
a
he bring
guy.
that up?
There's a guy who can play outfield on that Cardinals team who's batting a better batting average, and then when you project his RBIs out and home runs out, project out to be about the same as Ozuna's. Any idea who that might be?
Is it Bader?
Nope.
Is it O'Neill?
Nope.
Is it Munoz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jairo Munoz projects to be as good.
I mean,
he played
center. He played center field the other night.
Heck, they even share most of the letters of their last name.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
So Munoz could play left field, or you could put somebody else in left field, put Munoz in center,
but
because
I mean,
apparently
at
he's
least
a good
with
center
Munoz,
field.
he's clearly gotten enough of an arm. But something that I did read
Late
is
inning
that
defense might be a thing to think about with
Yeah.
him. You know, I mean, they used to do it with Holiday,
oh yeah, because I mean,
and Holiday has 10 times the arm that Ozuna
I
has
mean,
at
right
this
now,
moment.
I mean,
Yeah.
right now, kind of. But
And nobody's talked about that. I mean, people have mentioned it, but nobody really knows because there's nothing official on it. He just doesn't look like he throws.
he really is kind of short arming it, and it's kind of alarming how no one else sees that. Like, I don't know if I've ever watched a game where it should be a way closer play at the plate with him throwing, and no one goes, "Wow, he's really dragging his arm around." I
Well,
wish that came up
here's
because
the
it's kind
thing.
of an issue that
Here's the thing.
I've noticed.
Here's why it's not going to be an issue, because they gave up too much to get him.
I don't think they gave up too much,
What I'm saying is
But-
you can't give all that stuff up and then not play him.
pretty much.
So I get it. You don't want to start, or you don't want to not start him. That's fine. That's all well and good. I mean, I don't think that he's performing up to his capabilities. I think that he is capable. For whatever reason, he's just ripping singles.
Yeah.
Okay, at some point that's gonna, I feel like that's just gonna come around. He's gonna start hitting better line drives and whatnot. But why not replace him in the late innings?
I mean, you might as well. I mean, Munoz is hitting the ball pretty well.
I mean, can Dexter Fowler throw a little bit?
I don't know. It depends on how quickly he gets to the ball.
You know what, though? He was running the other night,
Yeah.
last night up in Chicago. I saw a
Yeah.
couple of them. Good for him, too.
I mean, here's the thing. He's not playing well, and I don't know if maybe what Moselak's comments were justified. I mean, we're all thinking it. It's about. I mean, so it makes sense that
I
someone
don't
finally
really
said it, but I'm hoping that maybe he said it to kind of light a fire in Dexter
I don't really
Fowler.
understand Moselak's comments. It's like,
When-
I can't defend
when
that.
I,
It's
when
like,
I
well,
heard it, it was like,
it's so like, it could be so aggressive, so passive aggressive, but at the same time, it could be benign, completely
Yeah.
benign. I just I don't know. I can't answer that question for him because
but everyone
I'm not him.
assumed that he was talking strictly about
Right.
Fowler. But I mean,
Well, he was talking about Fowler, but was he slamming him, or was he just saying, I can't
mean, I
comment on
don't
that?
know.
Which, to me, it would have been better for him if he was trying to not comment on him. Just say, I don't know. I can't answer that
I
question.
mean, but he's since come out and
hope he is.
I mean, he's since come out to apologize about it, which I don't really feel like there's that much of a need. It's your perception of
No,
it.
here's the thing.
You perceived it to be an attack against Fowler, when in reality it could have just been like
I don't
just
know.
an off comment of. I mean, if he's not, then I can't really defend that. But I don't know.
You know what though? I read something too, and I think it was Bernie Miklasz that was writing it, but it was about a reporter that he had on his show from the Atlantic.
Yeah,
And I can't for the life of me, I can't remember his name.
Saxon.
That sounds about right. I think it is Saxon. So if it's not him and we're misquoting him, I'm sorry. This is just off
Sorry.
the top of my head. But he said something like that there's this huge rift between Fowler and Matheny.
Yeah,
That's
I've
a
heard
problem.
stuff about that too.
Like he said, he believes that his sources say that Dexter Fowler got bumped down in the lineup like in April.
yeah,
And whenever Matheny sent the lineup out in a group text, which is what apparently he always does, Fowler got mad that he didn't get a text beforehand saying that he wasn't going to be batting leadoff because he's batting a buck something.
it's like, well, buddy.
Well, here's the thing. He blocked Mike Matheny's text messages. Now,
That seems a little unnecessary.
well, Matheny
but
is a fan, whatever. As a fan, that has got to disturb you because all we ever hear about Mike Matheny is he's a leader of men. It's
Yeah.
been since April, and now we're into
July.
mid to late July, and this issue hasn't been solved yet. So I don't know. Maybe he is getting text messages now and getting whatnot. I know that Fowler's frustrated because nobody likes to play that way. I know that he's frustrated. I know that he's embarrassed. I know that there's a lot of things going on with him. All right. I'm not defending his reaction. I'm not defending his actions. But at the same time, if Mike Matheny is this leader of men that they always talk about, Matheny needs to go to Fowler.
yeah,
And these two need to sit down and have a come to Jesus meeting.
See, and I've never really understood the whole thing about it's like, oh, no, I have to hit in this spot in the order. Like, why would you move me down? Like, we played in a softball tournament, going on 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
And it was the first time I had played with this particular group. I had played with 2 of them.
110 heat index. I think we almost died.
And Steve was like, hey, Aaron, you're going to bat leadoff. And I'm like, okay. And then did I get upset 2 games later when he moved me down to 8? No, I didn't care.
I would.
Do what's best for the team, man.
I was like,
I stopped hitting. I don't
You're
care.
Right. I'm not hitting well now.
Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, the first game I hit pretty well. Second game, not so much. Moved me down. And what happened? I hit fine the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, just bat wherever you think's comfortable. If someone else in the bottom of the order is raking, yeah, move them. Like, it's whoever's it's the best plan to get the team to win. So
right.
If this is like legitimately an issue that came up, like, is Fowler more concerned about where he's sitting in the order, or is he more concerned about the team winning? I don't think it should be that big of an issue. Yeah, we're paying you millions of dollars to play for this ball club, but we need to put the best lineup out there in order to win.
And I think you kind of got to get into the psychology of a Major League Baseball player there. And Jesse, I don't know what you think on this, but to me, like, to be a professional baseball player, and I know Chris Duncan always joked about this, but whenever they talked about a draft, he said, how hot is his wife or girlfriend or whatever? How good looking is it? Because it talks about the confidence and the swagger and the attitude. You have to be a little bit arrogant to play Major League Baseball.
Kind of.
I mean,
but go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think kind of a interesting example actually goes over hockey. Look at the Sharks with Joe Thornton. He went to the coach and was like, hey, I know I'm kind of like, the quote unquote legend of the team, but I just don't want to be captain anymore. I just kind of want to play hockey. And he's like, all right, there's no problem. The next year they came out and they saved their team. Their team was about to go under, and he came out and played amazingly. He had like some of the most, he was putting up assists like crazy, and that team just like turned around. So sometimes when people just kind of get over themselves, when they're just like, yeah, this is still a game.
And I think you see that more in a sport like hockey. I don't know what it is about hockey, but hockey guys are more about the game and the team more than any other sport out there.
Yeah, especially when I watch baseball. I mean, it seems like there's so many players out there that it's like it's so much for the money, and it's so greed-based. It seems
it's
really
also
unnecessary.
Interesting to look at baseball because it's one of the few sports where like you teach kids practice fundamentals, but in most other sports it kind of like get mixed together. Like hockey, you have to be able, you're skating down the ice, you're passing, you gotta keep your head on a swivel, sort of thing. It's not to say that baseball's like oversimplified, but it's one of the few sports where look at the example you have pinch hitters. That's literally all the guy does is he has to get good at hitting. Where you have outfielders who are good at catching a ball.
Right, and in hockey, you're playing offense and defense at the same time.
Yeah, you gotta be able to play everything.
So the game can change like that.
In baseball, in the American League, you have a designated hitter where all they have to do is swing the bat.
Did you see?
And Jose Martinez was great at it.
Did you see what he was doing in the dugout?
He was running in the dugout.
Couldn't keep his head in the games. He's like doing pull-ups on the dugout. And
he was running back and forth. It was absolutely wonderful to watch.
Aaron and I have talked about this. Jose Martinez would be a great DH. But after watching that last night, he would be a great DH, but he would hate it so much because he's just so, like, Jose Martinez plays with passion and energy.
Yeah.
You can tell that whenever the pitch comes in and he screams.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's wonderful.
Chill out, bud. That was like 2 foot from your head. You're good. But I like that passion. He's fun to watch, and he was raking last night.
Yeah, I think he was 2 or 3 for
3 for 4.
He was like
I think
3 for 4 with a walk, and he just kept getting on base. It's just like, wow, if that doesn't shout, he needs to be a DH. I don't know what else does.
All right, buying or selling, Aaron? Are you buying that Colton Wong has turned the corner?
Yeah.
Or are you selling?
I mean, I'd be buying. I think that his career average indicates that he's a decent enough hitter. I mean, last season was his career year. He hit 285. I don't see at any point that he's like, oh, he's only going to bat 180 this year. Like, for the life of me, cannot see that a batter who has a 250 career average, had his best year last year, would all of a sudden drop 100 points for no apparent reason whatsoever. Like, he's up to 221 right now, which is great. He went 4 for 5 last night. I think in his last, like, just this past weekend, he was like 10 for 21 or something, or 11 for 21. He's been hitting the ball very well. So if he hits 220 the rest of the year with his defense, you got yourself a winner, bud.
Win. All right. Second, buying or selling. Buying or selling, Dexter Fowler is going to turn his team around. Jesse, you can comment on this too if you want. It's not just for Aaron. he's going to turn his season around. And when I say turn his season around, relatively speaking, we're talking maybe 250.
If he gets all the way up to 250, I will honestly be pretty shocked. At least in his case, I just don't see it, man. Even when he turns it around, like they're like, yeah, he hit the grand slam last night.
He's gonna have to hit the cover off the ball.
He's got to do that. He's got to do that a lot,
and he's got to do it every time he gets a chance. Too.
I think Colton Wong's like just overall style of hitting is going to be better because I think he's starting to figure out that he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to be the bopper.
Yeah, all he has to do is hit singles. Like if Wong just did what Ozuna does.
Oh, Wong would be.
You're set.
There's
man.
your leadoff hitter.
That's your all-star right there. But it just hasn't happened yet. But for Fowler, I don't know if I'd be buying or selling that. If there's legitimately like such a rift if there's a rift in the clubhouse like there is, I will sell it.
Right.
That he will turn it around.
That's a good point.
Because if there's legitimately that many issues going on, I don't see why he'd want to.
What do you think, Jesse?
I'm gonna be honest, that one's a little bit over my head.
That one's over your head?
I'm not gonna pretend to super in on the
just pick one.
Just yet.
Just pick one so we're on record for having you just like, yeah. And you, like if you're right, you come back and be like, see, I was totally right.
Even in the last few minutes, just like listening to you guys, how well you know, just picking up that so quick. I mean, anytime somebody's I'm gonna say selling, because anytime someone's just, obviously enough kind of full of themselves or just causing problems like that, they're not the kind of guy that's going to go out and just put in the work to prove that they got it. They're going to be like, hey, look at my contract. That shows I'm better.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick showed the world that's not true.
That's nailed it.
Yeah. Boom. I missed my sound effect board. That'd be the one with the O's.
But I will say, I think tonight's going to be a good
Is he going to get the start tonight? Have they released the
I'm 99% sure it's Weaver against Rodon.
No.
Fowler.
Is he going to play some right field tonight?
I don't know if the lineup has been announced yet.
All right. So while you're looking that up, I got one more
announced.
buying or selling for you, and this one's a little more lighthearted. Buying or selling, after DeYoung is done playing Major League Baseball, he's got a beautiful softball swing.
Oh, yeah. Should we just start recruiting him now?
Yeah.
And hey, man,
dude, I know
we're Justin O'Fallon.
I know you're just getting started, but you're going to like it in the St. Louis area. Why don't you just come back here, and whenever you retire, whenever that is, which I'll probably be too old to play softball by then, but whenever you retire, you just come play softball with us. I'll be in the men's 60+.
That'll be great.
U-Trip senior or whatever. But.
Okay, so the lineup, which is subject to change, you've got Carpenter leading off, Pham in center, Martinez DHing, Ozuna in left, Molina catching, Jerko at third, DeYoung at short, Fowler in right, and Wong at second base. So you got Fowler hitting eighth, and then Luke Weaver pitching against Carlos Rodon.
Okay.
So could be a fun one.
Yeah.
I think
this would be a good game for him.
Weaver's,
maybe he can build on it.
I mean, you're facing a Chicago White Sox team who is terrible. So if you're gonna, build off your last outing, this is gonna be a good one. You really harped on him last night, so I'm hoping you didn't score all your runs in one day.
Right.
Because yesterday they won 14-2. Michaelis went 6 and got his 10th win of the year. Wong went 4 for 5. Fowler went 2 for 5. I think Martinez was like 3 for 4. We had a lot of guys get hits. I think the only hitter that did not get a hit was Molina, but he still got like an RBI and a run scored because of a walk and a sacrifice. So you had your entire lineup contributing. So I'm hoping the bats don't go cold tonight.
Right.
But it's going to be a fun one. And then you've got 3 games against the Reds coming up, and I think that will be before the All-Star break. And I think that'll be the end before the All-Star break.
But then the rest of the month, to end the All-Star break.
The rest of the month sucks, man. Here's the problem with the Reds. We've killed the Reds, but since we played the Reds last, they played really good, and we played really bad. So
we'll see what happens.
So if we keep beating on them, awesome. But this stretch is going to really determine where this team goes.
Right.
You've got 3 against the Reds, and then the All-Star, and then you've got 5 against the Cubs, 2 more against the Reds, and then 3 against the Cubs.
You've got to win tonight, and you've got to win at least 2 of the 3 against the Reds.
I mean, best case scenario is that
I ain't worried about the Cubs. I'm worried about getting to the All-Star game with a good record.
I'm fine with the All-Star game, but like we mentioned earlier with the trade deadline, if this team is going to justify making a big move, they have got to play well against these teams.
Absolutely.
They can't win 2 out of 5 and
Right.
then 2 out of 3 and
Right,
take
right,
4 out of 8. You
Right.
guys, like, they need to win like at least 6 or 7 games against the Cubs, and they need to win 4 out of 5 against the Reds to justify making any sort of move. Because the Reds are still behind you, which is great, but the Cubs are ahead of you, and the Brewers are ahead of them. You need to gain ground and
Yeah.
put yourself in a position to do something. Because, funny enough, the Brewers are playing really well, and they're out doing something. They're Vegas released the odds on the Manny Machado sweepstakes, and guess who's the number 1 contender?
Who?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's the number 1 contender for Machado.
2-1 odds.
Yeah, Vegas
Them-
is wrong. He's going to New York.
Nope, not on a trade.
Oh, absolutely.
Right now, unless the Yankees go in and like go all in for him, right now it's between Brewers and I believe the Dodgers.
The I forget who
The
name
Dodgers
of the guy
make
is.
sense though.
The Yankees have one prospect that the Orioles want, and if they throw him in, done deal. But I don't know if the Yankees are going to give up, and I don't know how he fits in there because I'm not really sure what the Yankees.
The Yankees have
lineup
the
was.
Yankees have a good infield. You'd be pushing a guy out unless that person's part of a trade. The Dodgers make sense because they lost Corey Seager for most of the year, so
Yeah.
you could throw Machado in there, but he doesn't want to play shortstop. Or no,
You
he
know-
wants
you-
to
you
play
know what, though?
shortstop. He doesn't
Like-
want to play
like-
third. And
like you said, you'd be pushing a guy out when A-Rod came up for a big deal, and the Yankees had Derek Jeter. They didn't need a shortstop, but guess who they went out and got?
A-Rod.
A-Rod, because they
Yeah,
didn't
but
want
they
anybody
made
else to
A-Rod
have
play
him.
third base.
Yeah, but they don't want anybody else to have him.
Well, yeah, but with that's why originally, whenever Machado
like,
was on the
and-
market, they listed the Cardinals as one of the best suitors because you could move DeYoung to third base
Yeah, but
and
everybody's
keep
saying
Machado at shortstop.
everybody's saying that Machado would move to third base.
Well, it makes the most sense for a lot of teams to move him to third because a lot of these teams that are kind of in on him already have a shortstop. So it makes a lot of sense to move him to third base because he's played there all of his career. But Machado is kind of playing the diva of going like, I'm a shortstop.
Listen, whenever the team throws the big dollars at him, he's going to play. If they told him to play catcher, he'd strap up and play catcher.
I mean, he's
You know,
probably
he
better
could
than
be-
I am at
He
it.
could be a diva all he wants, but when I don't know, money talks. So
Hey, well, right now it's not even the money talks. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Right,
Right.
now it's just trading you.
right,
If
so,
they trade him out to Milwaukee and they're like, hey, you're going to play third base, he doesn't have to play third base. He could hold out and not do anything. I don't see that
does he have a
happening.
no trade clause.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, then
But
there's
he
not-
could go to
doesn't have a lot
Milwaukee
to
and
say.
he could go to Milwaukee and be like, no, I'm playing shortstop.
Yeah, but you don't do that in a contract year either, because if you set yourself up as not the team guy, if you set yourself up as a guy like Jesse was saying earlier, if you set
Yeah.
yourself up as a guy who's only concerned about himself, that's going to cut money because people aren't going to want to put that on their team.
Yeah, but if Machado goes to Milwaukee, it's almost probably a good thing because Milwaukee's going to give up a lot of prospects for him, and that's just going to deplete them for the future. Because I'm going
'Cause
to
he's
go
not
on
gonna
record, he's
resign.
not re-signing with Milwaukee.
Yeah.
What is there to do in Milwaukee? Leave Milwaukee.
Drink beer.
Yeah, I guess
That's
so.
it.
If you're into
That's
that,
it's like that. Yeah, Miller, and not like craft beer. Miller.
St. Louis versus Chicago White Sox is about to start.
Oh, we're excited about that.
7:05, I think. The
All right.
Yankees have made a strong offer to the Orioles for Manny Machado as of 20 minutes ago, but it's a strong offer. That doesn't mean it's the strongest offer. It just means it's a strong offer. But that, honestly,
Look at me, YouTube. He's going to be a Yankee, and they're going to have a contract in place for him when it's said and done.
he will sign as a Yankee. I
Insider
almost
right
guarantee
here.
it.
Insider.
After the season's over, he will re-sign as a Yankee. If he goes to the Yankees, like that's kind of where he wants to go from what I've heard.
Hey,
So
what
it
do you-
makes sense.
What do you think about this? Mets have not had the year that everybody thought, so everybody's looking at them as sellers, right?
I've already written an article about why they should go after either DeGrom or Syndergaard.
Nah,
but
not
it's
even,
not going to happen.
even going there.
They're not
even
going to do
there.
it anyway.
Not even going there. Is it Asdrubal Cabrera?
Yeah.
What if they went after him? Third
Maybe.
base.
I mean, here's the thing. If I wanted to go after a shortstop or a third baseman, I have been saying this for so long. Go after Andrelton Simmons, man.
Andrelton
He is
Simmons.
so underrated.
Is it
he is a stud.
Who's the guy up in Colorado?
Nolan Arenado.
Arenado is a big play that, but I don't see him go anywhere because the Rockies are in the same spot as the Cardinals.
Well, I saw he's just upset with his situation there. He's tired of
Maybe.
losing. He's just tired of losing, But that doesn't necessarily give Colorado justification to move him. Like, he's upset, but that doesn't mean it's like that they can't possibly turn it around.
Well, no,
because if they
I
want
think-
to win, he's their best player, man.
I think the thing is he would be a good fit for the Cardinals too. But I think the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
is
I would offer
sometimes,
a lot for Nolan Arenado.
I think that sometimes what you need to do is you need to just let those guys go, because again, you go back to that clubhouse atmosphere. You got to have continuity. Now, I know winning cures all ills,
Yeah.
but so does getting rid of bad apples.
Yeah.
Let me not say bad apples. Let me say malcontents.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if we sent Dexter Fowler back to Colorado?
No, here's what's great, though. I think we should send him to Baltimore in a deal to get Zach Britton.
That works.
I think Zach Britton is
he a reliever?
Yeah. He was their closer, I think, for a while. He's a stud, but he just came off I think it was Tommy John. But he just came off a surgery, and he's only pitched a little bit this season.
I would be excited for a reliever, but
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sure
afraid,
he's
I'm
a
afraid they're
lefty
just
that
going to
gets
burn
out
him out.
lefties.
Mike Matheny's just going to use the same 4 guys. Or
Hey,
whatever.
you want to hear something positive? Brett Cecil has pitched so good, man. He's been so good his last couple outings. I am so happy for Brett Cecil.
Yes,
Like,
finally.
I thought the signing wasn't that bad. I don't think he pitched terrible last season.
I don't think he
but
pitched-
he
I
didn't
don't think
pitch
he
well. I don't think he pitched well enough to the contract, and I
No.
think that's the reason why people
Yeah.
are pissed. I think he's a good pitcher, and so he's pitched better this season, I think. I mean, everyone's going to have bad outings. It's not like he goes out every night and gives up a run.
Right.
It's, I guess, timely. It's like he'll have a few good outings in a row and then give up like 3, and then everyone's like, oh, he's so terrible. He's fine. Is he worth $30 million over 4 years? Probably not, but
That's
there are
true.
worse options.
All right,
You've got Bowman in AAA now, so,
Okay, so
apparently
we're-
he's not.
we're
good
running
no
up
more.
against the end of the podcast.
Yep.
How much do you have left? And then I kind of want to wrap up with predictions for, let's say, tonight, tomorrow, or tonight, the Cincinnati series, and we'll go the All-Star game. All right.
Sure.
So you got anything major
That's-
pressing?
Not really. I think the end of it I had just talking about the whole trade deadline, which we kind of touched upon already. These next few series are really going to determine what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to make a strong push for anyone right now. Like, the only way that they're going to be a real strong contender for any of these bigger names that are available is if they would have to basically sweep the Reds and then take 4 or 5 from the Cubs, and then maybe they'll be like,
Well, if they take
we're in a
4 or
better
5 If they take
situation.
4 or 5 from the Cubs, they're going to be kicking the Cubs over and being at least in second place in the division.
If we take 4 or 5 from them, I think we're 5.5 back from them
the,
right now.
From the Brewers.
No, we're 5.5 back from the Cubs. We're 7
Oh,
back
okay.
from Milwaukee. So if we take 4 or 5 from them, depending on what they do in their previous games, because we have to play the Reds first, we would almost have to win. We'd have to win tonight, win 2 out of 3 from the Reds, and then win 4 out of 5 from the Cubs. And then the Cardinals might go, we're in a better spot right now. But then even after that, they've got 2 more against the Reds, and then I believe 3 more against the Cubs before the trade deadline. So they really have to win some ball games against these division opponents for really any justification. If they middle along like they have been, they're not going to do anything.
They're not going to do anything.
And if they manage to lose all of those series, then they might start selling.
Okay, I don't see them losing all those series, but they haven't shown me anything that's that has changed my mind in the idea that maybe they're gonna just tear it up, light on fire. But I am gonna make this prediction.
I think they'll be like, honestly, I think they're just gonna keep middling along. I think they'll be just over 500 in that series, that set of games.
I think they're gonna win their next 4 games.
That would be nice.
I'm going to say they're going to match their season-high win streak at 5 by winning the next 4 games. That's up to the All-Star game. So I'm going to say they're going to win tonight and then 3 games against the Reds.
That'd
home
make
or
them feel
away?
pretty good.
I keep forgetting.
You are home against the Reds, then you're in Chicago for 5 and in Cincinnati for 2 or 3. And then I think the Cubs come back to St. Louis.
Okay. So
before the All-Star break.
I'm going to call 5 wins, a 5-game winning streak. when I get to the All-Star game, this is my prediction for the All-Star game, the American League by a lot.
Oh my gosh, it's not even
But
close.
check this out.
The American League team that is set up is good. The National League team that is set up
Is not.
are the popular guys, and it's not very good at all. If you look at the American League final vote, all 5 of those players are stacked. And you're like, and these are the ones that didn't make it?
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
You look at the Cardinals.
You have
you
that
look
kind
at
of
the,
year and you don't make it.
You
And
look
Bryce,
at the NL final vote, and you're like, a couple of those guys are having a good year.
Yeah.
Carpenter's on there because of his last 2 months.
right.
Is because of
But
his
good for
turnaround,
him.
which is justified. Like, he's had a wonderful last 2 months. But compared to everyone else that's on that list, it makes sense that he's number 5.
Yeah. What do you got on the next on the next 5 games plus the All-Star game, Jesse? Yeah. Hey, dude, it's predictions, and your predictions are as good as ours. We can base it off of what we've seen, but I mean, in the end,
you could base it off
they're
of
just a guess.
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's just a guess. I swung for the fences. I'm calling 5-game winning streak. So,
I mean, just from honestly from years of playing sports, just seeing how teams work together, dynamics, and how much is put on the coach. Honestly, this comes down to leadership. And growing up, actually watching Matheny play back in the day makes me feel old. Just knowing what he can do from that stance, if he can really just kind of, like you said, have that come to Jesus moment, but sort of with the whole team. If you can just say, hey, this little bit of time we got before, take a break. If you just come out on a good note, if you just kind of get everybody not pissed off at each other,
yeah.
not working against each other, that can change a team, or that's kind of like a world life advice. If you can just get people to focus, for a short time, just get through it.
Yeah.
The P90X, do your best and forget the rest.
The P90X. Here we go. So, and this is just kind of a metaphor. I feel like the Cardinals are full of people who are trying really hard, but not everybody's pulling in the same direction. So I get this picture of like a tug of war pulling in 8 different directions. And what
is this not working?
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're staying in the middle. Well, if everybody starts pulling in the same direction,
yeah.
The statement that disturbed me, and this is like we're still trying to find our identity. That's a problem.
You're
that's a
90
problem.
games into
that's a
the
leadership
season,
problem.
buddy.
But you know what? He said the same thing at the end of last year, which doesn't give me confidence for this year. But I am a diehard optimistic. They're going to win. They're going to get into the wild card playoff this year.
It wouldn't surprise me.
why?
We're still close enough.
Do you know why? Because I want a different manager and I want a different general manager or president of baseball operations.
No, if you want a different manager, you want to hope they suck.
Right, which is why they're going to win out. They're going to be just good enough to get into the wild cards and make the playoffs. Because if they don't make the playoffs, Matheny's gone. That's got to be the case. And if they don't make it next year, then Mozeliak needs to be gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, Cardinals Nation out there, if you love this team, look at me right here, YouTube. If you love this team, you are rooting for Dexter Fowler tonight. Because I am not confident that they are going to get help from the outside. It's going to have to come from the inside of this organization, and guys like Dexter Fowler are going to have to start getting hot and start hitting. So it doesn't matter what you think of him. It doesn't matter if you don't like his attitude. You need him to come around if you want to have a successful year this year. So you are a Dexter Fowler fan tonight. Hooray!
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get flack for it because I'm always like the one drinking the Kool-Aid. It seems like on social media.
Yeah, you are.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you're just trying to play the optimist," and I'm like, "No, if you're rooting against your team, like individual players, like you're just being a loser, man." It's like, man, Dexter Fowler sucks. He needs to leave. Like blah 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 blah. That might be the case, but you know what? Sure, seeing that probably isn't helping him at all.
Pointing out the problem doesn't help solve the problem.
Yeah, it's.
And you ask Aaron, and I'm going to ask him right now, whenever I complain about something, because we text one another during the games, but whenever I complain about something, I always try to add in a solution to the problem.
Yeah.
So, for example, the last thing I complained about was Ozuna and his inability to throw. And then I started looking, because him and Munoz are practically the same player. I just kind of said it offhand. And then I started digging into the stats, and my gosh, they are the same person. So that was my solution. Ozuna's not cutting it for me defensively. And without losing something offensively, you can put Munoz in there and hopefully have a strong arm. Now, I don't know if he's going to be any better running around and catching the ball, but, Ozuna's had kind of a rough time.
I mean, the whole basic premise of playing baseball is catching and throwing a baseball. So you would hope that in the outfield you know how to catch a ball. you throw the baseball back and forth to each other. You don't
Right.
when you're warming up, you don't give each other like random ground balls back to each other.
Right.
Playing on the infield is a very
Yeah,
different
I watched.
very different identity. Playing in the outfield, I will say, is so much easier. And I know you guys put me out there just because I'm fast, but growing up, I always played infield. Moving to the outfield, yeah, that was way easier. There are still some tough plays, but overall, I mean, all you're doing is catching and throwing a baseball.
Right. If it can be caught in the outfield, generally it's a run it down, and it's a fairly easy thing to do.
It's not too bad as long as you have any type of hand-eye coordination. It's fine.
It's not a one hop rope usually.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think we are about out of time. So why don't you cue up that music, Jesse? I'm glad you joined us today. I don't know like how you. I was thinking in the back of my head, you just kind of sat there, but at any time though, jump in, do that. The music's awesome. So like, if you guys want to on the video there, leave some comments, give him some props because the music is great. We'll probably have you on again because we like you, and that's really what this is about. And as you get more comfortable with doing this is just going to come around.
Yeah, I'd love to start a music podcast and bring you guys in and be like, so.
Well, here's
21 Pilots has come out with an album in like 10 years. Predictions.
Well, here's what's funny about that. Me and another buddy of mine, he actually plays country music, and we've talked about trying to make a podcast. And one of the big topics that we always bring up is why modern country music sucks.
It's not country music anymore.
It's terrible. It's southern pop music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why modern country sucks and why it's tough for like legitimate country artists who consider themselves to be real country. It's tough for them to get in the business.
A legitimate country
I do not. No, not at all.
Yes.
I am not a country
We're
artist.
gonna hit
he
cut
thinks
right
himself-
here for a
I'm-
new video 'cause I have
I'm
hours to
from
talk
the
about
south.
this.
Yeah, but say I'm from the south. That does not mean that I think I'm a country artist.
to move
No,
to Nashville and become a star.
wrong. I want to move to Franklin and do other stuff. I'm
listen to
I'm
this
not doing performance anymore. But no,
The only reason he's not wearing a cowboy hat right
Here's
now
the
is because
thing.
he can't get him on over his headphones.
Here's the thing though.
hair.
Caleb is a legitimately good country artist who just released an album, and I'm gonna
Caleb
plug
has an
that real
album?
quick. Yeah, he just released it. It's like
that's cool.
it's an 8-song album, and it's called Things. So look up Caleb Atwood on iTunes and get his album Things. It's on there right now. Check it.
We should get whatever his release is, and we'll play it on the podcast to give him a taste next time.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun.
But yeah,
Get my,
we've
summary
talked
music
about
break.
we've talked about making a music podcast. So if we actually end up doing that, you should totally join us on that, and we'll talk for hours on why modern country is terrible. It's fun. We just did it in the car. We're like, we should record this,
Yeah.
send it to the people in Nashville, and go stop it.
There are a lot of times people say we should record this, and then they go back and listen to it, and they're like,
Delete
that. So we're gonna go ahead and spin the music. Jesse, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I don't know. Do you dance?
No, I'm too white.
Yeah, so am I. Let's do the white guy dance.
I try not to lose my headphones.
Keep them on the head. All right, I'm Brad,
And I'm Aaron.
and this has been the Musial Suspects. Later, guys.
Sponsored by Ski.
Not really.
Yeah. If y'all wanted to shout out though, you're really close by.
Yeah. XL Bottling Company in Breeze, Illinois. That's not too far away from here. All right, later, guys.